everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. So, I'm Divya from DevAssure, and I have Santosh with me, who's one of our co-founders, and Badri is also available. So, all three of us found DevAssure in January 2024, and all three of us are from a QA background itself. So we understand the problem in terms of test automation or testing itself, and that's why we wanted to start DevAssure and see how it can actually change the phase of testing itself, right? And today we'll actually be it's going to be a complete product demo where the focus is going to be on why AI-driven test automation and an introduction to Yaan AI, which is the AI agent that we have within DevAssure that transforms all of your test cases into automation scripts itself. And this is our first webinar session. So if you have any feedback, please post it in the Q&A section. And if you have any questions as well, please post it in the Q&A section. Towards the end, we'll have a separate Q&A session, and you can ask us any questions, and we will respond to as many questions as possible during the webinar itself. If not, we will also reply via email. And if you need any other details from us, please feel free to post it on the Q&A itself. And towards the end, we'll also be sharing some contact information. All of the contact information is also available on our website. So please feel free to reach out to us at any point of time. Yeah. So I've been a QA engineer most of my life, right? So when I started, we had a small team, right? And then we actually, we were doing testing for a few features. But then as the number of features kept growing, one of the key problems that we faced is having to manually test all of these features. That's when we started thinking about automation itself. But automation also came with its own set of problems. But at least the first 100 to 200 cases with automation seemed to be a cakewalk, right? I mean, it was easy to maintain, it was easy to automate, and it was easy to sign off our releases as well. But then when those 100 and 200 cases became 1,000 and 2,000 cases, that's when the real problem started in maintaining the automation itself. First, there were a lot of stale test cases because the features kept changing, the design kept changing, and then the locators kept changing. So it became a lot more difficult for us to start maintaining this. So that's when we thought, okay, maybe we should start using AI, right? Because there was so much of flakiness, so much of instability, so much of time spent in just analysis of the test automation results that it felt it made more sense to just manually test them rather than spending so much time on automation. So that's where we thought, okay, how is AI going to help us in terms of, boosting the productivity itself? And when I look at it, it helps us to actually, get to faster release cycles. How do we reduce that manual testing time? These are actual metrics that have been that have been concluded from various researchers, and this is between 2024 and 2025, how AI has actually transformed automation itself, right? So if you, and 2025, we are only in the first quarter of 2025 right now. So if you look at it from the manual testing perspective, it has saved a lot of time because majority of your repetitive tasks are performed by the AI agents. And even in terms of efficiency of your test automation creation, that has significantly improved, which means you get to automate tests faster. One of the key metrics that we actually hear from our customers as well is in terms of how they are able to automate, say, 10 cases in 1 hour as compared to using AI as compared to, maybe 4 or 5 cases in a week itself. That's the kind of boost in productivity that we are actually seeing. And then ultimately, all of this results in faster go-to-market. Because one of the key things that I learned as a QA engineer is whenever there is an issue in production, the first question that is asked is, why was testing not done properly? Or was this bug even like tested in production or in your beta environment before it was moved to production, right? So given that there's so much of responsibility on the QA engineers in terms of quality gate, it makes more sense to see how we can actually test things faster, but with qualified releases as well. So having all of this in the focus is why we actually built DevAssure itself. So one of the key aspects of DevAssure is, focused on how do we make ourselves better quality engineers itself, right? By making sure that AI takes care of some of the repetitive tasks so that we can focus on things like, the corner case scenarios or the edge case scenarios or trying to replicate what the real users face. So that's where DevAssure plays a huge role. It's an on-prem application that supports web, API, mobile, visual, accessibility, email testing, database testing, and many more, right? So, and we've built this AI agent, which is very specific to web app automation that follows all the principles of any framework, which is your page object model. It follows all of those principles. It enables, improving your test stability. It reduces flakiness. It also provides a deeper analysis in terms of how your tests are created and tests are executed. So I have Santosh here with me as well, who is our engineering head, and he'll be now doing a demo of the Yaan AI agent. Over to you, Santosh.
Yeah, thank you, Divya. So for the demo, we will use a recorded video of our Yaan AI agent for some of the test cases, and for some of the flows, we will show the actual application. So for people who are looking DevAssure for the first time, DevAssure is a desktop application. We have a test case management inbuilt, and you'll be able to automate test cases from within your machine itself. There is no cloud resources needed for automation. And say, let's take a simple test case, right? So this is one test case of booking.com, where we search for flights and look at whether all the filter options, all the sorting options are available in the website. So this is these are the test steps written in plain English. Our Yaan AI agent takes these test steps as input, and the second input will be your application URL. So since this is a desktop app, you can even start using your localhost or development setup to automate your test cases. So here I enter the URL of the application. Now the agent spins up a browser, and it can control the browser. The agent will read the browser state of the application, will be read, and it will be fed to the LLM model. And in parallel, you have your manual test cases also, right? With these data, the LLM model will be able to tell you what are the actions that need to be performed for your test case. And in parallel, the AI agent also creates your automation script. So this is more like the agent will create your script rather than just running the test and running the test dynamically every time, right? That's not what we are doing, but we are creating automation test also, so that you can reuse the same test for executing in your continuous integration. Say here the agent has already executed an action, and the automation step is also added here. And similarly, for each action, the LLM will give you what are the specific steps that need to be done, and the agent will perform the action on the browser, in parallel creating the automation script for the same. So I'll just fast forward through the execution. Today, the Yaan AI agent is able to automate one test case at a time. But what we are planning to build is an extensive model where parallel browsers can be opened in your machine, and multiple test cases will be automated in parallel. So from efficiency point of view, you will be able to automate multiple test cases within a short span of time. Say the actions and even the validations are also added if a particular element needs to be validated, or if text of particular section needs to be validated. All of those are automated, and the agent actually runs those actions on the browser itself. The test execution is done, you will be able to see what are the locators the agent has picked, and along with the test actions. So these locators, the AI agent uses more than one technique to identify unique locators, multiple unique locators for a single element, so that this gives you the ability to auto heal your test execution. If one of your locators are not matching, or if there is a regression where the locators are no longer matching your element, in those cases, the backup locators will be used for your test execution, and the test will continue to pass. Along with this, if you look at it, each elements are added within pages. So the AI agent also creates pages to enforce page object design pattern here. And so once the test cases are saved, this is an executable test. You can directly run the test, which will at any point of time. Right now, there is no AI involved here in the test execution, so it will be much faster and cheaper. only for test creation, we need the AI agent. For execution, it can be run multiple times in your CE system as well. Yeah. And how the AI agent works is it will, as I was explaining to you, the Yaan AI agent takes in the test case steps as one of the source of truth, and it opens up a browser. And the URL that is provided is loaded in the browser. The Yaan AI agent can now read the browser and also control the browser. So it reads the state of your browser, state of your application, and sends the screenshots and HTML to the LLM agent. And LLM, which in turn process these information and specifies what are the actions that need to be performed. The actions would be using a variety of techniques that we have introduced, right? So depending on each of the type of the action, the agent will be able to interpret it and run the action on the browser. And in parallel, the same action will be created as an executable automation step. So while creating this automation, the agent makes sure that the backup locators are added and page object design patterns are enforced, so that the test maintenance is easy for you. I will quickly jump to the application to show you how these design patterns are enforced, right? Say, if you look at test case, all of the test case has just labels of the elements, and all locators are saved in proper page files. Say, for example, this is a page file, and it has the locators of each of the elements, and you can update them as well. So there is a level of control given on top of what AI has generated. And there are multiple backup locators available too. Say, for example, if you want to update any particular page or want to give better naming, right, to understand, in those cases, you can directly update the files or even update the element names. And all the test cases which are using these elements will also, or these pages will also be updated automatically. And this is with using your page objects for elements. Then there is an option to create functions as well, so that like how you create a code function, you'll be able to create a function with these no code actions available in DevAssure too. And say I want to extract these actions as functions, I can select them and extract them as functions. So I have already created a function here. And this is how a function looks like, right? You can pass in parameters too. So you want to run the same action with different data, but the set of actions are going to be similar. In those cases, you can create functions with the no code action. And whenever a next test case is being automated, right, the AI agent makes sure that it uses the existing elements and existing pages. This will cut down your maintenance time. You don't want to work, don't want an AI agent which will just create a plain script which you want to keep maintaining, right? The Yaan AI agent makes sure that your existing design patterns are also maintained, and those reusable components are also used in your test case. Say I'm playing a recording of a next test case which has similar steps, right? The steps, steps, if you look at it, some of the actions are overlapping between the previous test case and the functions that we added. So the Yaan AI agent makes sure that these test steps are automated, and at the end it will start using the existing elements and functions rather than creating duplicates of all of the actions and all of the elements present. So the execution here is going to be a similar one, where the AI agent controls the browser, and for each action it starts generating the automation. And once the test case is executed, now the test execution is done. If you look at it here, the agent has started using the existing functions rather than duplicating the same set of actions. And even for the elements, if you look at it, each of the elements are reused from the existing test case. Only the new element which is coming in is being added as a new one for in an existing page or in a new page that you are using. So all these 5 or 6 actions which are already present in functions are replaced with the existing function that we have. And even if the data is different when you for your next test case, the appropriate data will be passed as a parameter for this function. Yeah. With this, these are some of the principles that we follow while building an AI agent for automation, right? Or any AI system that is used for UI or any test automation should follow these principles. Or first, I will cover the don'ts. Right, what are the things that AI agent shouldn't do? One of the techniques that some of the AI agents use is using adaptive prompts to achieve a task. So that might be very good for a agent which is going to perform a task, right? An assistant that is going to execute a task for you can do that. But a agent that is going to test your application shouldn't use adaptive prompts, because it will give a non-deterministic execution, and sometimes it will lead to false positives, right? Say, for example, your test wants to enter something in your search bar and hit on the search button. That may pass in the first execution. In the second execution, if say the search button is not present, still the agent will be able to use some techniques to bypass it. Right? Say it might present enter key, or it might use some other technique to make sure that the task is completed. But there is an actual failure which the test should have failed. So those are things that an AI agent shouldn't do. Similarly, if there is any fuzzy matching that is done, right? Say if one of your links is not present and the test should fail, but the AI agent uses a fuzzy logic to match it with some other element which has the same hyper reference or same link, the test case shouldn't pass in those cases. Even in those executions, the test should fail. These are the things that should be avoided during while using AI for test automation execution. And also, it adds up to your cost, right? Every time you consume AI credits to run your test, and it will be slower. You will not be able to ship faster if the tests are really slow for each of the execution. So the things the AI agent should do is create tests which will be very deterministic. The agent will help you automate your test or create automation script. And once the automation is done, the script should be able to be executable independently, like how you run open source or any other test automation script. And the second one is it should follow the design pattern. Say you already have set of test cases using, say, page object model or BDD framework or any design pattern, right? Those design patterns should be accounted for while AI is creating test automation for you. Yeah. Over to Divya now.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've tried to solve using the AI agent is, trying to see how we can actually improve your test automation coverage itself, right? And we've seen this to be very beneficial in terms of the key metrics that we've used to track, like our customers' progress as well, in terms of number of automation tests that they're able to automate within a given span of time, right? And in terms of the execution, also, we've actually reduced the flakiness a lot, especially when you have to execute, say, thousands of test cases. We have a dedicated CI agent which will actually execute all of these test cases across different CI systems itself, which means integrating all of these tests generated by AI on your CI is very straightforward, and it works with any CI system that you have as well. So, and we do have test case generation as well. Besides the test automation generation, we have the ability to create test cases from your Figma mockups or your design files, PRDs, user acceptance criteria, anything, right? And even for your backend cases, say if you have your Swagger docs or any use case diagrams or sequence diagrams that you have, all of this is actually converted into test cases. So traditionally, things that would take, say, 2 days maybe to go through all of these documents, say if you have a 100-page document, right? You need like at least 2 days for you to go through the documents, probably discuss with your product managers, understand certain questions and all that. So this back and forth is also reduced using our test case, the agent for test case generation. And it takes only 30 minutes to identify all the different use cases, your regression cases, end-to-end cases. All of this happens real quickly. And then on top of that, it also asks questions as well. It's a very interactive component. So a lot of these videos are available on YouTube and we have it on our website. But if you still need a personalized demo, we are happy to give them as well. And what Yaan AI does is that, the rapid script generation is another key thing where it actually writes the scripts, reuses the existing components. See, that is the major thing, right, in test automation itself. How do you make it reuse the existing components so that duplicates are not created, which means maintenance is reduced. And then the stable locators as well. Like what Santosh mentioned, the backup locators which are created, it identifies every possible way of, identifying the safest way to reach an element, the most stable way to reach an element. And on top of that, we also have other controls which we provide in terms of, how do I, enhance it and make it more suitable for my application. Like say if your application is using dynamic IDs and you do not want the AI agent to pick IDs at all while interacting with the locators, right? So that is a very, very big advantage because it kind of understands based on these details which are provided. It understands the application, and then it also generates the locators based out of it. And page object model is a huge advantage when it comes to automation maintenance itself, right? Because you want to segregate them. If you want to, like, say, if there's a major UI design change itself, this actually makes it simpler to actually make those changes. You don't have to worry about redoing your entire automation again. And we have a lot of other libraries present as well. Say if you want to intercept the network logs, there are libraries available for that. If you want to do some file uploads, file downloads, all of this is supported within the tool itself, which means that you don't have to worry about any installing any new libraries, maintaining the versions, maintaining the packages, maintaining the versions for your web drivers. All of this is something that you need not worry about. You start automating from day one itself, and maintenance effort is actually close to nil. And yeah, so this is a QR code for scheduling a demo with us, or you can even go to our website, which is at www.devassure.io, where Gayatri, one of our founding members, is constantly sharing all of these details in the Q&A section. And post that. If you have any Q&A, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A section. We can open it to a discussion right now. Let us know the feedback as well. If you think that something is not what you expected, please let us know about that as well. There are report generations after the execution as well. So we have dashboards available, which gives you a deeper analysis. We'll share the links here in the chat as well, which gives you a deeper analysis in terms of how the executions have happened, what are the most frequent failing tests which are available, and then in terms of like how the tests are performing across multiple CI executions, execution time, stability. All of this deeper analysis is present. And on top of that, we do have reports at an individual test level as well. And for every failure, you get the actual failure message along with video recordings and screenshots as well. Santosh, can you quickly show the dashboard as well?
Yeah. Yeah, so we have test reports that will be posted in our web portal, where you can look at all the test execution logs. And if there are failures, there will be screenshots, and there is an option to enable your video recordings too. So that will be available in our web portal, and we retain the last 45 days of data. And there is a HTML report as well, which you can archive in your own CA systems and maintain them. And on top of the execution data, we have options to build dashboards. So there is a default dashboard which will give visualization of your historic test execution. And this is a customizable dashboard. You can add more dashboards or add charts and apply filters appropriately, so that you can look at how the your test healths are there on test distribution. And even if you want to drill down into your test execution data, like identifying flaky tests or slow running tests, those metrics will be available in the dashboard.
So we have another question in terms of the test execution time itself, especially in parallel runs. So you can configure like n number of parallel runs within your application, and we do have a CI agent, a CLI, which is also present, which where details about it are available on our website as well. So you can actually use that to run all of your scripts, which are actually generated either by Yaan AI, or you could even create your own scripts, and you can use that on the CI systems, and it will execute it in n number of parallel runs. So you can configure it. There are no additional costs in terms of like how many parallel runs you want to execute, and even it's available in headless mode. Retries are also available. And additionally, we also, in terms of improving the quality of tests running in parallel, right, to maintain the stability, we have smart weights that are added as well within the application. So you don't have to worry about those kind of things as well. And yes, we have support for mobile app automation as well. So for mobile app automation, we don't have the AI agent yet, but what we have is the ability to record all of your tests on a mobile app. So whether it is with simulators or with real devices or any of the cloud devices, you'll still be able to connect to them, record your tests, and re-execute them. And the best part is that we have the ability to maintain your iOS and your Android automation all within a single application, within a single project itself, or within a single application itself, which means that you don't have to maintain separate repositories for your Android automation or for your iOS automation. Everything can be within the same repository. And we do have a Git plugin which is available, where all of your files can be version controlled and source controlled, and your PRs and everything, right? So everything will be in the same format as you see within the app itself. And this is an on-prem application, which means that none of your scripts or any of the data will not get shared onto our cloud services.
The next question is, can we test AI bot for predictive data mapping and accuracy using this tool? Currently, we support only UI test automation and API, and UI involves both web and mobile, right? Testing predictive models and systems is currently we don't support right now, but that is something we will definitely have it in the future. Yeah. The next question is, can you please explain the difference between Cypress and Yaan AI? So Yaan AI is more like an automation agent, right? It will help us. Cypress itself is an automation framework where you enter your BDD test as a BDD steps, and it will execute your test. Yaan AI is more like an agent which will help you automate the test, and the test will be more like a deterministic test, or the output of Yaan AI will be a no-code test which you can execute within DevAssure, or you can easily maintain the test cases on top of it. So it's more like an agent which will automate the test and not execute the test. So execution part is something handled using an internal test execution engine, which doesn't involve AI right now. But Yaan AI is more focused on test creation. Yeah. The next question is, do you have a possibility of doing a load test for a particular web page? So yeah, load testing is also something we have in roadmap, right? Even in our website, we mentioned that is one of the end goals that we will reach to, where you should be able to reuse the same scripts to run it at load test. But currently, we don't have the load infra. But you can, we have all the configurations and everything. The CLI supports running n number of threads or agents in parallel, so that you can generate the load using the scripts, but the load generation infra should be is not yet with us.
Just to highlight one thing there, we don't have a direct support with performance testing and load generation and all that, but as part of the test reports, you'll still have the execution time for each and every test step, or the load, the time that the page took to load, for instance, right? And we also have the ability to get all of the details from network logs. So your response time, how much calls did each of the calls take to actually make each of the calls within your network. So all of those details will be available. So this is something which is available right now, but the data is available, but we haven't done direct performance testing using the data yet.
Yeah, I will take the next one. What is the difference between your solution and do browser and browser use NLP to test execution? Yeah. So as I called out in the slide where we mentioned about the do's and don'ts, what do browser and browser use does is they use adaptive techniques to automate your test, or it's more for executing your test itself, right? Without having an automation script, or even you won't have a control over the locators or what actions or what path the AI agent takes to execute the test, which is non-deterministic. And what we do is we create the steps, we automate the step, and create the test cases. And if you run it n number of times, the execution is going to be the same. It will not the locators used will be strictly with the what the backup locators and the main locator that AI agent has picked up. And the execution will strictly follow the same set of steps. If something is broken, the test will fail, and you'll be able to identify bugs, or you can have a strict validation here, right? But with do browser or browser use, it will be more like a non-deterministic execution where it will use multiple techniques to make sure that the test pass rather than identifying bugs in the application. And one more thing that I called out was it will be costly as well. So every time you need to consume your LLM to run the test, and which will consume both your credits and also the time to run the test.
Yeah, real-time use case with customers. Yes, we have real-time use cases. So we have those available on the website, and I think Gayatri will be sharing a PDF as well in terms of a real-time use case with one of our customers. So you will be able to view those metrics and everything there. And the free version includes all features available for individual users to use, or any other restrictions. No, there are no restrictions. There's a 10-day free trial available, and all of the features that you see every feature is actually available during that time period. And if you need like an extension, we can actually discuss that as well.
I'll take the next one. Is there is this regulated that we can use for healthcare or banking? Yeah. So since this is a desktop app, we don't have any data stored, and the data privacy is maintained. We don't use your data to train the models or anything. So the state of your application is sent to our LLM models, which will generate the test, which will come back to your system. So all the data, the test cases, everything is residing within your system, so that you can push it to your Git repo and version control it. So you should be covered from that aspect.
API testing, there's a documentation available for API testing. If you have any questions regarding that, please write back to us, and we'll be happy to respond over an email.
The next question is whether Yaan AI will be helpful to validate dashboards and reports. So currently we have a visual comparison, which will do a pixel to pixel comparison of dashboards and reports, which will be which does an image comparison, right? But the model will evolve into a stage where it will validate the actual data rather than doing a pixel to pixel comparison. Yeah, we have a part of it, but more from a visual validation point. The next one is
cross-browser and parallel testing execute in the same time. Yes, we can support it. So even if you have multiple test cases running in parallel, yes, you can do that. And within the same test case for multiple test data in parallel, yes, you can do that. And within the say the same test case across multiple browsers, you can do that as well. In terms of mobile web, we have emulated browsers available for different mobiles. And then in terms of, say, mobile apps itself, we have support for different simulators and for different emulators as well.
How do agents deal with shadow DOM, virtual DOM, complex websites? How is the element identification? So currently we do handle shadow DOMs. We since the AI agent is going to use both your HTML and also your application screenshot, right? Visually how your application looks like. Based on it, we will arrive at the elements and locators. Those are accurate, and yeah, virtual DOM is handled, and we even support Flutter web apps where the entire DOM is locked, right? Even in those cases, we will be able to. We have techniques to unlock and use those applications as well. Yeah, we'll take one last question before we wind up. Data from report which is in Excel can be validated with the data in the UI. Yeah. Yeah, as Divya was mentioning, we have a test data section which helps you to import your data and validate it with the data in the UI. But currently, we don't have direct integration with Excel. But if you can export that Excel as a CSV, we do have CSV support, and we do have even querying your database to get your data and validate with the data in the UI.
Besides that, we do have libraries included where we can directly read. Like one way to do it is using the test data integration that we have with CSV. The other way to do it is also like you can read the file, like say if it's a JSON or a CSV or a text-based file, right? You can still read that, and you can use that content to actually validate the elements which are present in the UI as well. So either ways, you'll be able to do it. So what it will also do is it will also transform, say, right now we support CSV and not Excel. So if you can, like what Santosh mentioned, transform it from Excel into CSV, and then the tool has the capability of transforming it into JSON so that you can easily access the data to validate it against your UI elements as well. I think there are more questions which are incoming. Yeah. Report generation, I understand it's a big task. Like I told you that Yaan AI is one part of DevAssure, right? So we do have the others, like we have recorders also available, which enables you to record all of your flows as well, which at this point of time has a lot more features for especially for dashboards and reports as well. So if you would like, I can probably drop you an email with all the details, and we do have some demo recordings as well available in terms of how you can test report generation. So we can probably send it over to you. Yes, yeah. I think we are running out of time. So for the remaining questions, we'll actually respond over an email. And yeah, if you need to ask us any other questions, or if you need to ask us any other doubts or anything of that matter, you can send in all your queries to support@devassure.io. So this is the email. I'm just like adding it here. So yeah, please send in your queries to support@devassure.io, and at any point of time, we will actually respond to it. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for taking the time to join the session. This is our first webinar session. So I hope all of you got some useful data from it. So we will be conducting more webinars, and we will be focusing on product demos and also some technical webinars also, which will where we wouldn't be talking more about our product, but we'll be talking about more about techniques within automation or with AI agents itself. So please watch out our website for any updates in the future as well. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining the session, and thank you for the questions as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.